My name is Tom Lally. I was born in Bohermore and I was raised in Bohermore. 1948 is the date of my birth, and we moved from Bohermore very early on down to a place called Hidden Valley. Was the actual nickname of the place, but in actual fact the real name was St. Bridget's Place. It was 12 houses, and we moved down there after my father died. My father died very, very young, and he was 29, and we had been domiciled in his father's house for quite some time, and then when he died we moved down to St. Bridget's Place. I had one brother, Frank was his name, and my mother, her nickname was Peggy, and she was 27 when my father died, and she on her own raised the two of us, and she did get some exceptional help from her own family, the Flaherty family, who were two of them were native of the Claddagh here. My grandmother was born in the Claddagh and my grandfather was born in the Claddagh on the Flaherty side. So I had many uncles and they were all very good to us as we were growing up. So it was a difficult childhood in the sense that our father was missing, but we had one particular uncle, his name was Johnny. He worked in the railway and he became the father we never had at that time of our lives, you know.
What was school like for you? How did you find school?
Well, school was, I went originally to the Old Man. I think we were the last class in that particular school. It was run by the Patrician Brothers. It wasn't a very nice early part of our education. It was very strict, and the brothers were very fond of the cane or the strap. I think I was about a year in that school before we moved down to the new school, St. Patrick's in Lombard Street there, and that had some brothers and some lay teachers in there, and it was a little bit easier on discipline, except there was one or two of the brothers again and one of the lay teachers who were rather cruel in dishing out the punishment for misadventures, either not doing your homework, being disruptive in class, was punishable by the strap and the cane again. And if it was extremely serious, you'd be sent down to Brother Killeen, who was the head brother at the time, and he would also dish out some punishment. That's the way it was.
How has Galway changed, if it has, and since when you were a young fella?
Well, obviously it's expanded, and it's a rather large city now, and it has changed quite a bit. Obviously the type of schooling that the kids get today is more gentle, more encouraging, and that's a positive. Society has changed. It's more of an open society. That time would leave their doors open, and there'd be no such a thing as locking your door and locking people out. And we shared things. People shared if someone was short of something, they could go and borrow it off somebody else. There was a particular grocery shop in Prospect Hill, Malai's grocery shop, and they ran a book. So people could go up at the start of the week and get some messages there, and at the end of the week then they'd come and pay when they got their, in my case, in my mother's case, the widow's pension, and that's the way it was. But nowadays, obviously, the way things have gone in society and the fact that there's so much crime, if you like, people are insolent, insulate themselves an awful lot more, and it's not as neighbourly as it used to be, you know. We almost knew everybody. Nowadays, it's very difficult at times to walk down the main street and meet a Galwegian.
Just tell us your passions and hobbies, Tom.
Well, when I was very young, I wasn't a very confident person. I was attracted to sport, and I put myself about in that area for very early in my life. And I played all sports, really. I played Gaelic football, I played a little bit of hurling with Liam Mellows, I played soccer with West United, Galway Hibs, Galway Bows at the start of my career. And then I took an extreme liking to rugby. I played a little bit of rugby with Our Lady's Boys Club back in the day when they had one of the most fantastic junior teams in the history of rugby in our city and county. Eventually my energies were all geared towards the soccer side of my life. I still continued to play Gaelic football with St. Michael's, and I played in the interference with the Department of Post and Telegraphs, of which I was working for 36 years. And I really enjoyed playing Gaelic football as an outfield player, but I played soccer most of the time as a goalkeeper. I actually signed for Sligo Rovers in 1968 in the League of Ireland, and I went there as a full-time professional, and I played there, and obviously the second year I was there, my form was so good that Celtic Football Club and a number of other clubs took an interest in me. Celtic invited me over for a trial period of 2 weeks. They kept me for 5 weeks, and then they sent me back and discussed the fee with the club, Sligo Rovers, and eventually they came to an agreement for a transfer fee, and I signed for Celtic. I signed on a 4-year contract, and I spent most of my time at Celtic Football Club in the reserve team. I was promoted to second choice goalkeeper at the club in the second season I was there, and I was on the European panel for the European Cup, which was an exciting period of time in my life. We drew Ajax in Amsterdam, and they beat us 3-0. Brought them back to Hampden Park, and we won that game 1-0. Unfortunately, the score was an aggregate, and we were knocked out of the European Cup at that stage. I spent a very challenging time there. It was tough. The training was extremely hard. But eventually, after a couple of seasons, my body began to adapt to it, and my mind, and the speed of things, the way things were done, the skill, the power of the shooting and all that kind of stuff. It was good, and I really, really enjoyed it. I made a decision coming up to the third year that I didn't feel I was making the type of progress that I felt I should have been making. My form was good, and I asked for a transfer. So they decided that I might go down to Preston North End on loan, and I declined that. And I went back to St. Patrick's Athletic Football Club in Dublin. And there was a condition attached to that if my form continued as it was, if any club came in for me again, that Celtic would get a cut of the fee. As it turned out, Charlton Athletic made an approach at that time, and I declined to go to Charlton Athletic, and then I moved back to Galway, and I got a job in the Department of Post and Telegraphs as a postman. I continued my League of Ireland career with St. Pat's. It was difficult travelling up and down on a Sunday and trying to get back for work and be up in time in the morning, what have you, 5 o'clock. And then after a period of time, I signed for Athlone Town Football Club, and spent a year there. And then Galway Rovers applied for membership of the League of Ireland. They got it. It's my hometown. The clubhouse is just at your back there at the moment. So I came back and played for Galway Rovers, and they eventually changed over to Galway United, where I became player manager in 1985. We reached a cup final in that time, and we were beaten by Shamrock Rovers, who were the top side in the country, 1-0. The following season, I didn't continue on as manager of Galway United Football Club, and I reverted back into junior football with Galway Hibs in 1982, and I think it was 1982, and we had a very successful season. We won the league, the Joe Ryan Cup and the Connacht Cup, and then I reverted back into the League of Ireland again. I think it was 1983. But that is ended then in 1985, and I briefly went back into junior football again, and I wound up going back to Sligo Rovers on a part-time basis to help out the late Jerry Mitchell. I went back, and the season was a disaster for everybody. The club was in financial difficulties, and we had a very, very poor season. And at 38 or 39 years of age, I eventually decided to hang up the gloves and the boots, which I did.
Can you remember when you would have been at your truly happiest in life?
Well, there were many, many moments when I was truly happy in life. Possibly the first, when I realised I had a bit of ability and I was going to follow this particular route. But one of the happiest moments in my life was when I met my present wife, Anne. We were very young, and we got on very, very well together. I had to be away for a few years, but when I came back, she was waiting for me, and we eventually got engaged and married. And like all marriages, we've had our ups and our downs, but there's been mostly ups. And I was lucky to have married such a very good woman, you know.
What would be the proudest moment in memory in your life?
Well, there's a number. Obviously my debut for Celtic Football Club in the reserve team against Dundee United. was a very memorable time. And then to play Rangers in the Reserve Cup final, I think there was 38,000 people at the match, and we beat them in aggregate 11-2, which was a fantastic achievement for a team that used to be called the Quality Street Gang. There were so many excellent players in it. Kenny Dalgleish was one, Lou McCarry, Danny McGrain, George Conley, several others that went on and had very, very good careers in the professional game in later life. And of course, the day I got married, it was a very memorable day. And when our first was born, our son Michael, that was a really very happy occasion for us.
Do you have any regrets?
Well, yeah, I would have regrets. I regretted the decision I made to leave. I made the decision to leave the club. They didn't release me. I had still time on my contract. I had gone to the manager, the late Jock Steen, and I wondered why I wasn't getting the opportunity to get into the first team on a fairly regular basis. And his answer to me, he said, when we think you're ready, we'll put you in. And that was that. I didn't like the answer, but I still continued to be the best I could be for the team in the reserves and stuff. And we won the three championships at the time. That we won our league, the League Cup and the Cup, which was a fantastic. I don't think that has happened again in the reserve team situation at Celtic. We won the treble, you know, and obviously there was tremendous talent in that team. And we didn't lose a game in 3 years, 3 seasons.
If you could go back in time and give a younger you one piece of advice, what would that be?
The piece of advice I would give my younger self would to be more patient with myself and others around me, and more confident, and to remember the good games rather than to reflect too much on the mistakes and the bad performances that obviously occurred in my career as well. When I coach kids today, young goalkeepers, the first thing I try to give them is confidence and self-belief. And I think that's the biggest gift any coach can give a young fella starting out in his career, you know. Rather than being too strict, too demanding, make them understand that some of the top professionals in the game make mistakes, and not to live in the mistake, but to move beyond it, whatever that mistake might be.